with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this NFL news, news and notes.
Got plenty of it. Plenty of it, too, boy.
Before we get to the playoffs, we try to take care of the news, per se. So, Minnesota was eliminated by Detroit last week. This week, Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings have agreed, head coach Kevin O'Connell, have reached an agreement on a multi-year contract extension. He was scheduled to be entering his last year of his contract, which, you never really want to do that for any type of sports or anything, especially in sports, though. So now he is no longer entering the last year of his contract because it was an extension. What I am interested in is they never actually released the details of the coaches' salaries.
I mean, they will come out. For me, though, this is a done deal. Though he coached his team way too well for you guys to not. There's gonna be Raheem, you might have got replaced by this dude. So for me,
put a pin in that because I got a question about that. Go ahead.
It's very similar to, I think, the Sam Darnold situation. You've done too well for us to go in a different direction. And if I do go in a different direction and you go somewhere else and you're really the real deal, then I'm fired or embarrassed.
So I hedged my bet on this. I thought for sure, because just like Detroit, I think Minnesota's at least defensive coordinator Brian Flores is out of there. If not, I think Kevin O'Connell is the co-offensive coordinator or the play caller. But I think the offensive coordinator could end up getting snatched up too. There was noise about Chicago trading for Mike Tomlin. And I was like, if they really are going to explore this, because we haven't really seen a coach trade since the Sean Payton, right? So I was like, if they're really going to do this, if I were Pittsburgh and I really wanted to move off Mike Tomlin and guarantee that I have a good coach, I wouldn't have entertained the Bears. I would have looked at Minnesota and Kevin O'Connell because they had talked about this the entire time and that they were trying to come to a negotiate. They were basically playing it off. We're still in negotiations, was during the season, we're not, it's bye week, blah, blah, blah. They always played it off, and I was like, man, you won't really let no coach go into his final year of a contract, especially him with Justin Jefferson, Addison, and the way that offense is playing. You really don't do that. So if they don't sign him very quickly, I expected for him to move on, and my thought was, if I'm Pittsburgh, I would trade Mike Tomlin if I wanted to move off Mike Tomlin. If you decided to make that decision, I would trade Mike Tomlin and see if I could get him for Kevin O'Connell. Mike Tomlin is already cool with Brian Flores. So I was like,
my thing with that is, and I'm not sure because it doesn't happen enough for us to be well versed in it, but I would assume the coach would have to be cool with it too. I don't know if you just trade a coach and him, like, are they like players where, hey.
That's why I mentioned Brian Flores. Like, that would be you already got a defense. He's a defensive guy. You already got a ready-made offense. You just need, with a rookie quarterback.
Oh, no. No. I'm talking about Kevin O'Connell. You're not sending me to Pittsburgh?
That was only if the negotiations broke down for going for Minnesota.
Even if that, I still don't want that Steelers job.
Go to Dallas? You would rather go to Dallas?
No.
The Raiders?
That's better than the two that you've named so far. What else you got? What else y'all got over there available?
Jaguars?
No. Raiders might be the best job then.
No. Well, I mean, you got Brock Bowers. But you got the defensive end, but he may be ready to go.
But I mean, I think Max Crosby, I think he's 98% gone. I think he's probably almost out the door already. But you can't send me to the Saints. We're going to talk about that. You know why you can't send him to the Saints. I don't want to go to the Steelers. They don't have a plan. I'm not going over there to get the plan for you guys. I'm not going to Dallas because Jerry. So when you really look at it, I mean, I don't think the Raiders is a great job, but and the Jaguars. I'm not dealing with no. The Raiders might be the best job.
Or Chicago. I just wouldn't have wanted to stay in. I wouldn't have wanted to stay in the division, which is what Ben Johnson did. So Ben Johnson, and we gonna talk about Ben Johnson in this game that he called against the Commanders, or lack thereof. Y'all want to label the game calling, but he accepted the head coaching position for Chicago. There had been multiple reports that Tom Brady reached out to him and expressed the plan for the Raiders, as he is the owner or co-owner, or part of the ownership group is what I should say. Part of the ownership group. And allegedly there's momentum of him going to the Raiders. We didn't comment on it, but if he would have picked the Raiders over the Bears, while the Raiders is a good job, I think the Bears, because of everything that they've already put together for an offensive-minded head coach, was a no-brainer.
It's a safer place to go.
Yeah, and if you would have gone to the Raiders, it would have been, you would have had way more work to do, and I wouldn't have wanted to do that.
The Bears got RB1, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, QB1. And I think that they got a decent amount of money kind of available. So, but the other part is you got to get in there in the Packers. You got to get in there with Minnesota. You got to get in there with Detroit. That is where do you want? No, I don't think it's not even an easier road. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna take it. I'm gonna take this Bears job. I honestly think he might have should have waited another year. I don't like any of these jobs this year that much.
I like the Bears. I like the Bears job because of everything that was outlined. I'm not mad at it. He gets to implement his offense. Now he has to build a staff. Now that's going to be the interesting part, because you accepted this so late. Not late, but you were basically in the playoffs, so you couldn't announce it till you got eliminated or you went to the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, you still have to hire a defensive coordinator. Now, there's still some out there, but they're getting hired left and right. Now, as soon as the Falcons make their hire, we'll talk about Auburn, everybody else started getting hired. The Colts hired the Bengals defensive coordinator. I was like, oh, it's kind of like a run.
Well, what I've seen is Ben already has Dennis Allen as earmarked as his defensive coordinator, which is, I think, an excellent
Steve Spagnuolo type guy.
Yep. Right. Now, he might not be a great head coach, but what he can do is coach some defense. And I think that he's also going to be looking for an opportunity to kind of get the stench of the Saints off of him. And as much as he probably didn't coach great, we're going to talk about it, but the Saints, that team wasn't put together for anybody to be successful long term. So a lot of these things are just, hey, I got put in a bad situation. How can I rehab my image so I can probably go into a better situation?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And Spags is old enough to where he's not just going to jump at the next offensive. He's like Spags. I'm not Spags. Dennis Allen is like Spags, and he's old enough to where he's not going to jump at the next head coaching position, unless it's like the perfect one, because especially if they're good. I'm
not needy.
Yeah,
I can take my time and pick a good place. You also have
Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees becomes the offensive coordinator in Cleveland.
I don't like this pick at all. Notre Dame and Alabama, he was the quarterback's coach. And last year, and he served as offensive coordinator and quarterback's coach at Notre Dame, Alabama. Neither one of these places have a sexy offense that I love. And the thing that I've always said has been the biggest issue for me with the Browns is they never have a creative enough offense. The offense is very milquetoast. Offense is very bland. It's very predictable. You have to be creative. You have to be pushing the limits of offense in order to be successful, unless you just have a bunch of road graders and you're just going to kind of do what the Ravens do to a lesser degree. But even the Ravens have more creativity than the Browns. That was my issue when Baker Mayfield was there. I was like, first of all, if you have this much issue with Baker Mayfield, then hand the ball to Jarvis and hand the ball to OBJ. We see the Rams do it. We see the 49ers do it. We see the Dolphins do it. Oh, if you don't like what the quarterback is doing right now, just hand the ball to your best player and let him figure it out. That's why you pay him large sums of money. The Cleveland Browns refuse to do that. And I hate to say it, but this is probably going to be a guy who will be there for 2 years while they struggle through this quarterback situation. And Stefanski's going to get fired because they're going to suck again this year. This guy gets fired. Eventually, they get rid of Watson. And, I mean, if you're lucky, then the guy who you draft this year is what you start with your next coach and offensive coordinator. I think that's best case scenario.
Hell of a projection. So, I think you do this for two things. I think this is a solid by Stefanski to Tommy Rees for sticking with him. I think this gets Tommy Rees some type of coordinator experience on the NFL level. If I'm not mistaken, he was a quarterback at Notre Dame. He served as offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Notre Dame in Alabama. He joined Stefanski's staff last year. I think he did the same thing, quarterbacks coach type thing. And now Stefanski gives him a solid I think he was there. Well, whatever. Stefanski did him a solid by getting him NFL quarterback experience so he could find another job. I think Stefanski knows that his job is on the line. 1. 2, you also everybody's still trying to find the next young head coach. You're still trying to find the next, at the time, Shanahan. You're trying to find the next Sean McVay. You're trying to find the next Josh McDaniels. You're trying to find those young guys that, especially with college experience, because college normally leads in innovation of football. College football normally is way ahead of the pros when it comes to design innovation. That you'll have somebody as the youngest so that they can grow and mold, and hopefully you can keep them, or if Stefanski turns this around, or have the ability to promote him to interim to see how he plays, and you still have a young coach. I think he's just
Stefanski is going to get fired. We know this, right?
You never know, man. You never know what they do in free agency, what they could turn around. I mean, the Steelers ain't that much better than them. Not the Steelers. Well, Steelers' defense is much better than them. The offense ain't great.
The Steelers are just a better run organization.
Steelers I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about next year trying to.
Yes, but what I'm also saying is next year, until proven otherwise, Tomlin makes the playoffs. The Bengals, you're not going to be better than the Bengals. I can say that. And the Bengals leave a ton to be desired. You're not going to be better than them. You're not going to be better than the Ravens. You're going to get fired next year. If anybody doesn't know that Kevin Stefanski is going to get fired next year, let me tell you right now, and Reggie, if you have to clip this up, this is the start. Kevin Stefanski's going to get fired next year.
I mean, big dog. What I'm saying is, I'm saying I understand. In my mind, this is why you hired a 32-year-old guy. You did him a solid, and you're trying to find the next dude. It is what it is.
Wait, hold on. What did they do? Like, follow, subscribe. Thank you, my friend. Be here for it.